The courtroom door slammed shut behind me like a gunshot, echoing through the sterile hallway where fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets. My hands trembled as I clutched the custody papers, the ink still fresh, declaring my ex-husband, Mark, the primary guardian of our 2 children. "Unfit mother," the judge had said, his voice flat as a blade. I could still smell the polished wood of the bench, feel the cold sweat soaking my blouse as Mark's lawyer painted me as a hysterical wreck, addicted to painkillers I'd never touched. But the real gut punch. Mark's smirk from across the room, that smug curl of his lips as he avoided my gaze, whispering to his new girlfriend in the gallery. Our kids, Lily 8 with her gap-toothed smile, and Ben 5 who still clung to my leg at bedtime, were being ripped away because of his lies. Fury boiled in my chest, hot and choking, but beneath it, a deeper ache. Betrayal from the man who'd vowed forever, now twisting the knife to punish me for leaving his cheating ass. I stumbled into the parking lot, rain pelting my face like accusations. The world blurred through tears, car horns blaring, puddles reflecting fractured neon signs from nearby offices. How had it come to this? Denial clawed at me as I drove home, replaying the divorce, discovering his affair with his secretary, the late nights he'd blamed on work stress, the gaslighting when I'd confronted him. "You're paranoid, Sarah," he'd said, his voice smooth as silk over steel. But now this, fabricating evidence of my instability, doctored texts, planted pills in my medicine cabinet. Heartbreak twisted into resentment, a venomous coil in my gut. I pulled over on the shoulder, engine idling, and screamed into the steering wheel, the sound raw and animalistic. Why? Because I'd exposed his infidelity in court. Or because he couldn't stand losing control. That night in our empty house, the silence was deafening. Toys scattered on the living room floor like landmines. Lily's stuffed bear, Ben's toy cars. I poured a glass of wine, the liquid sloshing crimson against the glass, staining my fingers. Obsession crept in as I scrolled through old photos on my phone. Family vacations where Mark's arm draped possessively over my shoulders, his eyes already wandering. Guilt gnawed at me. Had I been too trusting? Too weak to fight harder? But no, this wasn't my fault. Cold resolve hardened in my veins, a quiet frost amid the storm. I couldn't let him win. Fantasies flickered, slashing his tires, keying his car. But those were petty, fleeting. No, revenge needed to be surgical, exposing him for the monster he was. The next morning, sunlight sliced through the blinds like interrogator beams. I called my lawyer, voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "There has to be something," I said, pacing the kitchen, the tile cold under my bare feet. "Mark's hiding assets, I know it. And those accusations. They're bullshit." She sighed, her tone measured. "Sarah, appeals take time. Gather proof." Proof. The word ignited a spark. I hung up and dug into his old emails, ones I'd forwarded during the split. Subtle hints. Offshore accounts, unexplained transfers. Doubt flickered. Was I descending into madness? But then I remembered Lily's tear-streaked face at the last visitation, whispering, "Daddy says you're sick, Mommy." Rage surged, suppressing the fear. I needed allies. I texted my sister, Emma, who hated Mark with a passion. "Meet me for coffee. Urgent." At the cafe, steam rose from our mugs like secrets unveiled. Emma's eyes narrowed as I spilled everything, her fingers drumming the scarred wooden table. "That bastard," she muttered, voice laced with suppressed fury. "What are you planning?" I leaned in, whispering my embryonic scheme. Tail him, document his lies, turn the tables. Moral conflict tugged at me. Was I becoming like him, manipulative? But heartbreak justified it. He'd humiliated me, stolen my children. "Just be careful," Emma warned, her gaze probing. "Revenge can consume you." I nodded, but inside, obsession bloomed. That evening, I parked across from his new condo, shadows lengthening like fingers of fate. Mark emerged, arm around his girlfriend, laughing. My heart pounded, a drumbeat of resentment. Little did he know I was watching, planning. Days blurred into a haze of quiet calculation. I hired a private investigator, draining my savings, the envelope of cash feeling illicit in my palm. Reports trickled in. Mark's business trips were trysts, his finances a web of deceit. Inner turmoil raged. Guilt over spying, fear of getting caught. But each discovery fueled my resolve. He'd bribed a witness, forged medical records. One night, alone in bed, sheets tangled like my thoughts, I imagined confronting him, his face crumbling. Doubt whispered, what if this backfired? What if I lost everything? Yet the pull of justice, or was it vengeance, was irresistible. Subtle hints emerged. Anonymous tips to his boss about embezzlement. Small seeds planted. Tension built, a slow simmer as I waited for the boil. The call came at midnight, shattering the fragile peace I'd clung to. Mommy! Lily's voice, small and quivering through the phone. Daddy's yelling at Amy. He's scary. My blood ran cold, the receiver slick in my grip. Amy, his girlfriend. Heart racing, I threw on a coat, the fabric rough against my skin, and sped to his condo. Rain hammered the windshield, wipers slashing like accusations. Obsession peaked. This was it, the crack in his facade. But fear gripped me. What if he hurt them? Guilt flooded in. Had my subtle prods pushed him over the edge? No time for doubt. I dialed the police en route, voice steady. Suspected domestic disturbance. Children involved. Sirens wailed as I arrived, red and blue lights pulsing against the wet pavement like a heartbeat. Neighbors peeked from windows, curtains twitching. Mark's door flew open. He stood there, disheveled, eyes wild. What the hell, Sarah? He snarled, voice thick with booze. Amy cowered behind him, a bruise blooming on her cheek. The kids huddled in the living room, Ben clutching Lily's hand. My heart shattered anew. Humiliation for them, rage for me. You called the cops. Mark advanced, fists clenched. I stood my ground, cold resolve stealing my spine. You did this to yourself. Officers burst in, badges gleaming under the harsh foyer light. Sir, step back, one commanded, hand on his holster. Chaos erupted. Mark protesting innocence, Amy sobbing confessions. He hits me when he's drunk, she blurted, voice breaking. The kid's wide eyes met mine, a silent plea. As police searched, my planted seeds bore fruit. Wait, no, not planted by me. Or were they? Moral conflict surged. I tipped Amy anonymously, sharing proof of his violence from the PI's photos. Was this justice or manipulation? Hidden motives unraveled. Amy, it turned out, had her own grudge, discovering his other affairs. In the interrogation room later, fluorescent bulbs humming overhead, Mark's mask cracked. It's all her fault, he yelled, pointing at me through the glass. But evidence mounted. Hidden bank statements in his safe, proving he'd siphoned marital funds, voicemails threatening Amy, even a fake prescription in my name. The twist hit like a thunderclap, the pills he'd planted, traced back to his dealer, exposing his own addiction. Police uncovered it all. Embezzlement from his job, bribes to the custody evaluator. Everything exposed, not just his betrayal of me, but a web of deceit poisoning everyone. As they cuffed him, his eyes locked on mine, resentment mirroring my own but laced with shock. You bitch, he whispered, voice hoarse. I felt a pang of guilt. Had my revenge gone too far? The kid's safe in my arms now but scarred. Yet poetic justice washed over me, cold and satisfying. In the squad car, Mark's head bowed, the rain streaking windows like tears he never shed. I drove home with Lily and Ben, their small hands in mine, the road ahead uncertain. Obsession faded to quiet resolve. Betrayal had forged me, but revenge? It left echoes of moral gray, a reminder that justice often cuts both ways. The house felt full again, but the silence held new shadows, my own.